The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Ian McNulty, food writer for the Times-Picayune, the New Orleans Advocate. Hello, Mr. Ian. Good to see you.
Great to be back.
Always. Hi there. Absolutely. Alfred Richard, movie critic for WWL-TV. Hey, how you doing, sir? Hello. Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com. Hello. And John Rodi, executive director, you look swell, of the Komenka Ethnic Dance and Music Ensemble. And the group is going to perform for us a little bit later. Welcome.
Thank you.
Poppy is off tonight. And we have, thanks to Ian, a smorgasbord of restaurants.
Well, Peggy, I think there's too many fish in the sea to eat the same old fish that we always see on restaurant menus, and for more to the point, in the marketplace when we go shopping for seafood. Too many oysters in the sea, too, it turns out. I'm going to tell you why about that in a moment. But the place I want to highlight right now is a place, it's a new restaurant and market in Mid-City. It's called Porgy's Seafood Market. It opened late last year, right around the New Year, and it is a place I'm really excited about because it answers a question people ask me all the time, especially this time of year. People go traveling, they go down the Gulf Coast, they go to Pensacola, and they see Joe Patty's Seafood Market, this splendid place where you can get all kinds of different fish and eat there. People say, oh, the seafood heritage of New Orleans, why don't we have something like that? Well, now we do, writ small. But that's basically what Porgy's Seafood Market is. It's in Mid-City on Carrollton Avenue, the same block as the mighty Bricado's, just down the street from Venetia's. It was formerly Bevy Seafood, which is a po' boy shop, boiled seafood kind of place. Porgy's still does that. You can get your boiled shrimp, boiled crawfish there. But what I love about this place is it really is a flex between a marketplace, an old-fashioned fishmonger, and a modern restaurant, so sort of a seafood deli. So you can go in for lunch, get something to eat, but you can also visit the seafood case and bring things home. And the Porgy's owners, you see them right there. That's Dana and Christine from Carmo Restaurant downtown, and that's Marcus and Caitlin, who had Margie's Grill on Broad Street. Oh, sure. Sadly now closed, but some of their menu ideas are playing out here at Porgy. So if you're a Margie's Grill fan, this is the place to go and check that out. But when you walk in, you see it all playing out in front of you, right? There's people eating at the counter. They're having oysters in the half shell. They're having po' boys. They're having a gumbo. But then over in the corner, there's the seafood case. That's where it all comes together. Now, the owners here are really committed to working with small local fishermen, and that's how they're getting this variety of seafood that is abundant in the Gulf and local waters. But Peggy, you just don't see it when you try to go shopping for fish. I mean, this is the kind of fish that restaurants have access to, maybe. I mean, some of these are fish that are one or two offs coming off the boat, and you're going to find them here. And it's all local seafood. This is like coming out of the Gulf, and it may surprise you what's there, but I think actually for some people who remember a generation or so ago, it'll be more of a reminder than a surprise. It'll be like, oh yeah, this is the way we used to do it. We had a seafood market in our neighborhood. But like I say, it's also a deli, so you can dig into things like this. Fish collars. This is the cut from the fish around the fins that too often get thrown away, but they're delicious. And you get them. These, for example, were cut off a bar jack that was coming out of the case that they were cutting right there. So very fresh. I mean, it's like visiting a butcher shop and having them throw something on the grill for you. And one thing not to miss here, this is the muffalatu. And that's not a mistake. It's not a muffalata, but it's a Sicilian sandwich made in a similar style with yellowfin tuna and an anchovy aioli, and it's delicious. And it punches some of the same buttons as a muffalata, but it's a seafood version. Here's the crudo, again, cut from the case. These are fish that is available to take home you could do this at home. I do it all the time. The fish is so fresh, you can eat it raw, sushi style. At home, but they'll also make a plate of it for there too. And see, that's an example from my house. That's my kitchen counter.
Wow.
That's my favorite Japanese knife from Coutlier on Oak Street. And that is a mix of yellowfin tuna and porgy, which is the namesake fish. And it's a delicious fish, again, abundant in the Gulf. You never see it on menus, but you can try it here, and you should. Also here, and this is a good segue to talk about oysters, Porgy's is a place where you can get oysters on the half shell right there. They have good happy hour specials on those during the week. But also you can get them to go. And this has become my place for a DIY home-style oyster happy hour when I want to open some oysters at home with some sparkling wine or some of those tall, pointy bottles that pair with them so well. But it's not just one type of oyster. There's the reef-style oyster that we're all familiar with, the traditional Louisiana oyster, but also more of a variety of oysters that are coming out of local waters that are being grown in different techniques that make them very different-looking oysters. And these are oysters that are they're in their prime all year long because they don't have an off season. I think everyone knows now the old R, don't eat oysters without, a month without an R is out the window now with modern refrigeration. But the traditional oysters, they go through their reproductive season during the summer. They are not at their best, let's say, in the summertime. Not so with the oysters cultivated in this way. The best place to experience what I'm talking about is Sidecar Patio and Oyster Bar. It's down in the Warehouse District. It's next to the Cotton Mill apartment building. It's a big outdoor patio, and on any given day, they may have 15 or 20 different types of oysters. Now, many of these are coming from the East Coast, from the West Coast, but many of them, an increasing number, are coming from right here in Louisiana, especially around Grand Isle, which has become a hotbed for this kind of oyster. So you can see the difference right there. That oyster on the left, that's from St. Bernard. That's a good old St. Bernard Parish reef rock, the traditional oyster. The one on the right, we're grown in Grand Isle from Brightside Oysters, tiny farm, making these exquisite oysters. So that's a great place to try them. If you're interested in this kind of thing, there's another place that's doing wonders with these types of oysters. It's Pigeon and Whale. It's a newcomer on Ferret Street, about a year old. It's across the street from High Hat Cafe. And it is a fabulous oyster bar, again, with 12, 15 different types of oysters from around the country and around the Gulf Coast that you can sample side by side. And then another one, very, very much more casual, Cooter Brown's. Now, Cooter Brown's, long-time place. All the beer fans love it. They've had an oyster bar there for a long time, but here's how it works. This is a sister restaurant now to Sidecar, same owners. And so they brought some of their oyster program upriver to Cooter Brown. So if you want to just have a beer and have a casual run at these types of oysters that I'm talking about, these new alternately cultivated oysters, it's a great place to do it. And one more, we don't have a photo of it, but I'll mention it, Five's Oyster Bar on Jackson Square, right in the Pontabla building, lower Pontabla building. A beautiful lounge for raw seafood, a couple cooler, lighter dishes, and a great selection of oysters and great cocktails.
All right, thank you so much. And moving over to Alfred, a movie actually made in New Orleans.
I know. We've been talking about movie productions, especially since after the writer's strike and the actor's strike, just getting started. Like, for example, Grilled Cheese, which is not the title of the movie, it's a working title. I'll have to say, for clarity's sake, I've been working on Grilled Cheese, of all things. And there's another film, of course, is Leverage, the series that is in Series 3. But this is a very good movie, and by a award-winning director. The film is called Hitman. Now, it has nothing to do with the video game Hitman or such. It is directed by Richard Linklater. Now, he did Boyhood some years ago, really good director, and he loves New Orleans. And it shows up in this film called Hitman. The main actor in it is Glenn Powell. Now, Glenn Powell has an interesting role. He plays a professor. He's a college professor who moonlights for the local police department as a hitman. Well, he portrays hitmen. Whenever someone hires someone to say, I want to knock off my husband or my wife, he is the one that they get him to dress up, and he winds up becoming the Sting in that case. But he changes his look so many different times, and it's so quirky. It works here. When a young woman who is abused in her relationship comes to him seeking assistance, that's when it really picks up. You get the love interest there. Adria Arjona, she plays that love interest. She's a beautiful young lady and very talented in this film as well. And how it works is that they go back and forth between some elements. What I really love about when movies are shot here is when you can try to figure out where they actually shot. Were they at the were they at the Bon Temps Brûlée, or if they were down on Frenchman Street? It's not as bad as it was in the years before. Like, for example, that Clint Eastwood movie where he was playing the detective and he's running down next to the cathedral and he makes a turn there and he's in the cemetery. Still trying to figure that one out there. But then again, directors at that time, they didn't know how. They just saw New Orleans and figured, we have a great tableau. We'll just put something there and people will get it. But you'll love looking for those little quirks. Although some parts of New Orleans play off as Houston in the scene of this movie. So it's a lot harder to make New Orleans look like Houston, but it does work. And Linklater, he is a very good director, and this one is only being shown, unfortunately, in one theater right now. It should get a wider release. It's going to be shown at the Britannia at Canal Place. So the Britannia Canal Place is the best place to see it. But then I've always loved that the Britannia, the Brunet family has expanded, not just from the original Britannia uptown, but the Britannia Canal Place. So now you have all those theaters, and you get to see how Linklater makes New Orleans into a hitman central.
Okay, thank you so much. And John, nice outfit.
Thank you very much.
And you have so much to be proud of because for over 40 years, Komenka really have been stalwarts in terms of ethnic dance in New Orleans, and quite a few of your compadres have come here this afternoon and tonight, and to be able to do a performance, which was shown just a minute. But you've been involved from the very beginning. What keeps you going?
Well, you know, they keep me young, for one thing. You know, it's, the group ranges in age from people that are like 16, 17, all the way up through the ages. And I love to dance. I mean, I get that from my family. I'm born and raised in New Orleans, and you know how we are with dance and music here. So Komenka was a natural fit for me when I started, and I just love the fact that I get to basically travel all over the world, and everywhere I go, I get to learn their dances, and I find out that we all have something in common. We all love to dance, and we all love music, and we all love to eat. And so,
well, you have a concert this weekend.
We do.
Okay, and set up what we're about to see.
Okay, so the concert this weekend is going to have dance and music from about 12 different countries, and all with costumes that are either authentic or replicas of it, and wonderful music, wonderful dancing. I think you're going to see a clip here and a little bit of a new dance that we have from Tibet. Basically, it's from way up in the mountains of the Himalayas, and the yak herdsmen have a community there. And so it's a very small community, and then basically when they have a successful year, they get together and have this huge celebration, and the dancing that you'll see is part of that celebration.
And I know, of course, Nina Bozak, Daniel Gianfala,
right,
who else?
and then Mark Peterson and Ali Timberlake are going to be in that clip as well.
Well, let's take a look at the Komenka Ethnic Dance Ensemble. The Komenka Ethnic Dance and Music Ensemble's 42nd Spring Concert will be held Saturday, June 1st at 7:30 and on Sunday, June the 2nd at 2 p.m. at Loyola University, New Orleans, Louis J. Roussel's Performance Hall. Tickets range in price from $8 to $15, very reasonable, and may be purchased online, as you see, at tickettailor.com/events/Komenka. Congratulations for all your hard work. My goodness. And moving on to Alan. He's back from Broadway.
I do. We're going to get to that. And again, I'm going to remember this is the show that Ian referred to New Orleans as a hotbed of oyster activity. I love that.
Oysters.
Oh. I just wanted to say that we start off with a little bit of sad news, though, because it was a week ago that we learned of the passing of Pat Bourgeois. That was the playwright and lover of all things theater. She was a long-standing member of the Big Easy Theater Committee and was frequently seen in the company of her companion, Tom Kukaloo. Again, Pat competed in the one-act play competition at Le Chat-Noir years ago, and out of that grew her love of writing, her comedy writing, impressive, of course, presented on local stages, and it became debauchery. This was the ongoing play that she had with so many great talents. It was last held at Southern Rep Theater, and again, I hope to have a show on the NOLA Theater Talk Show to commemorate her passing and to honor her memory. Patricia, Pat Bourgeois, again, we send our condolences out to Tom, her family, of course, her daughter, Tracy Preston in particular. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about her on that talk show coming up. Meanwhile, there is a world premiere, believe it or not, coming here to New Orleans, and it's at NOCA, the New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts. It's a off-Broadway show called Home's Kitchen, not to be confused with Hell's Kitchen. You'll hear about that later on. It's a off-Broadway play, and again, it tells the story of Maeve Aurora Chapman, the playwright, writes about a story of a young obituary writer named Marianne and a young TV celebrity, Richard, both of whom have issues related to their families. And as I understand it, Home's Kitchen is all about food, faith, and family, but not necessarily in that order. Again, the run is only 4 days, but right afterward, I'll have the director and the playwright on an edition of NOLA Theater Talk on Monday, June the 10th. So check that out. If you get a chance to go see it, though, you can get your tickets where they're located at homeskitchenplay.com. And again, homeskitchenplay.com, a world premiere. Now, this week, The Cake opens at Loyola University's campus. Is presented by the Crescent City Stage, and you all know that's going to be coming up very soon. There's a preview. I think we're going to have a preview, and of course, opening night is Friday. And then next week, A.J. Allegro will be kicking off his inaugural stint as a director while serving as the artistic director at Le Petit. It's Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest. The cast includes several new young faces, but also veterans like Tracy Collins and David Hoover. We'll look forward to that. Okay, let's go take a look right now what has been going on the Great White Way. So here we go. First off, Broadway is in its finest right now. If you go there, you're going to see lots of competition. This is a very difficult year to call the Tony Awards. First off, not vying for a Tony Award, but vying for a Pulitzer Prize is Here There Are Blueberries. It did not win the Pulitzer Prize, but it was nominated this year. And what's important, it's got a New Orleans connection I have to tell you about. First off, a little bit about it. It's based on a book of photos sent to the U.S. Holocaust Museum, and it's the only photographic evidence that shows Dr. Joseph Mengele and all the top-tier people who were responsible for Auschwitz and the killing of Jews in their off hours. So Here There Are Blueberries is very compelling, and it tells a whodunit about how they did all this curation and how they figured out who was who in these pictures. Again, very compelling. I recommend it very highly. This is me at the show with Bruce Roberts. He's one of the producers. His wife is from Baton Rouge, so there's a little bit of a New Orleans connection there. But more important, one of the other producers is right here in an early picture I took at Sardi's of me and Sue Vaccaro. She couldn't make it. She was hoping I'd be there at the same time, but she's going to be going up to New York again shortly. But another New Orleans connection, Tammy Srinivas, who's there on the right, was the original lighting director, and she happened to be in New York at the same time as me, and we met at Sardi's. So there you go. There's a lot of New Orleans connections about this show. Here There Are Blueberries. Now, my favorite show that I saw this last time out was Merrily We Roll Along. Wow. There he is, Daniel Radcliffe, Jonathan Groff, and Lindsay Mendez. This is one of the best versions of this show I've ever seen, and everybody remembers it was a big flop when it first premiered on Broadway. It's now perfect. I don't know how they could make it any better, and I promise promise you, if you get a chance to go see it, you will love it. And I did have a little picture of somebody who was signing autographs outside.
Oh,
I think you might be able to recognize that. You recognize who that is, Alfred, maybe, from one of the pictures he may have made?
I think so. I have the slightly bold in mind.
Now, one of the big ticket items on Broadway right now is Hell's Kitchen. I was mentioning that. This is Alicia Keys' musical. Again, if you get a chance to go up there and you love hip-hop music, it's a celebration of the life in New York. It's really a wonderful show. And who steals the show right there? Shoshana Bean. She is incredible. Again, I will tell you, if you get a chance to see it, a wonderful show. But another one that I was completely bowled over by is Suffs. Suffs is about the lady suffragettes. And if you get a program, when you go to Suffs, they have little cards inside that are inserted like baseball cards.
Oh,
and this is Shana Taub, who is the creator and the star of the show. And I have to tell you, a generous girl. I mean, there she is. She writes. She's like a Lin-Manuel Miranda. She writes the songs. She writes the book. And she sings and does all the other things that you'd expect an actor to do. She's wonderful. Here's a picture of her and me after the show. Again, I had a great time. You will love this show if you get a chance to see it. Again, Suffs for suffragettes, if you want to say it, or suffragists. Again, I got a chance to see one of my old friends. I don't want to call her old, but I've known her for a long time. Andrea Burns. She's in The Notebook. Again, bring Kleenex, people. This is going to make you cry like crazy, but it's wonderful to see. And the music is again, a revelation. I got a chance to meet the composer of the music as well. Also, talking about music, New York is a playground for music, and of course there's Alex Rybeck on the left with Karen Akers. I got a chance to see some great cabaret in New York. Again, if you get a chance, go. I saw Back to the Future as well. You know, it's just a wonderful time to be in New York and to see all these great shows. And I know that that everybody who loves to go to New York will have a great time going there. And the Tony Awards are coming up in June.
Yes, the 16th. Yes. Okay, thank you. Great, good overview there. Time for picks. I will begin. WYES presents its annual Antiques Showcase on Saturday, June the 6th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. with an opportunity to bring your favorite items for value assessment and hear 3 talks by local experts. Go to WYES.org for details. WYES Season of Good Tastes wine dinners continue in June and July. The dinner at Dickie Brennan's Palace Cafe on Wednesday, June 19th is sold out, but there is a wait list. Chef Bobby Miller's 5-course menu includes shrimp and grits, scallop crudo, crispy fried duck leg, lamb lollipops, and a pastry cream tartlet, all paired with wines. Of course, go to sign up there, and tickets still available for Saffron and the Pelican Club dinners. WYES.org. Ian, your picks.
Well, crudo, scallop crudo, you're talking my language with that. That sounds fabulous. But speaking of wine and food events, next week is the New Orleans Wine and Food Experience, NOWFI. It's back. This is the city's wine festival, and it's so much more. Food is a big, big part of it. It starts on Tuesday with a champagne kickoff at Brennan's Restaurant in the Courtyard and their Rooster Bar. It goes all through the week. There's so many different ways to cut into it, whether you're going to one of the big tastings, one of the more exclusive tastings. Wednesday is the night for wine dinners. Then throughout the week, they've got these experiences, these parties in different restaurants. There's a rosé night, there's a brunch at the end, and an Italian dinner, family style at Gianna to wrap it all up on Sunday. So check it out. There's something for every day of the week.
Thank you. Alfred.
You bring up NOWFI. I used to run something called NOWF, New Orleans Worst Film Festival, all those years ago.
Okay.
Well, now a film that's going to be at the Britannia, and I could say this, it's a little, are they dial M for murder? How many people remember that you used to dial telephone numbers? This one starred Grace Kelly, Ray Milland, and directed by Alfred
And this
Hitchcock.
is Britannia Uptown.
At the Britannia Uptown. this
Okay,
Sunday.
thank you, Al.
Next week, the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival kicks off its season with the complete works of William Shakespeare, abridged, revised, and again. Ian Hawke, Keith Clavery, and Lauren Millar will attempt to connect all of the Bard's 37 works in summary fashion. That'll take place at the Dixon Hall Complex, and I'll see you at the theater.
Okay, just a few more quick picks. Symphony Book Fair this weekend, Friday through Sunday at the UNO Arena. So many wonderful things there. Don't forget the Cajun Zydeco Fest, and that is at the Ween Center on North Rampart Street. The Jazz Fest puts that together. You also have the first Pride Parade North Shore, and at Saturday in Mandeville, queernorthshore.org for more information. NOLA River Fest is at the Jazz Museum at the old U.S. Mint right there. on Esplanade Avenue. Then you've got Film and Law Saw and Friends with Sinatra's best friend, Jimmy Van Heusen. That's at the Monkey Hill Bar. So many great songs, and Rich Look is also performing in that too. And by the way, I have to tell you that I was very fortunate to go to visit Nina Buck and Kathy Edegren. Unfortunately, the Palm Court is closing after Sunday. And just the most fantastic place, 35 years. Thank you very much, Nina Buck, for some wonderful, wonderful experiences. And so what we want to do right now, thanks to Dominic Massa, we had a little bit of video last night with Lars Edegren and the Palm Court Band featuring Greg Stafford. There's a little bit of Panama. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much. Good night.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.